Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about fractions. But why do we even need fractions in the first place? Well, let's say you and your friend have a pizza and you want to share it equally, so you cut it equally. But what do you call your slice of the pizza? You can't call it 1. You can't call it 0, and you definitely cannot call it question mark. So that's what fractions are for. Fractions are used to represent values that we can't exactly put as normal numbers. So what's a fraction? Well, a fraction is a part of a whole or a division of a whole into equal pieces. But what does this even mean? Well, let's go into the structure of a fraction. Let's take this and let's say that this over here is our whole. This whole is split into 4 pieces. Now, the denominator of this fraction would be the total number of pieces we split this whole into, which in this case would be 4. And the numerator would be the number of pieces we take from the whole. But what's the number of pieces we take from the whole? It's this green piece over here. And this consists of 1 piece. So the numerator would be 1. So now that we've seen how the structure of a fraction works and what a fraction is, we're going to look at an example. So let's say I have a pizza here. Now this pizza has 8 pieces. It's because it's a normal pizza. Now I get a little hungry and I take this piece. So what would be the fraction of the piece I took? Well, how many slices total were there in the pizza? There were 8 slices total. And how many pieces did we take from the pizza? We took 1 piece. So the fraction would be 1/8. Now we're going to move on to addition of fractions with the same denominators. So let's say we have the same piece of pizza and it is 8 pieces once again. So I get hungry and I take 1 piece of pizza. So what would that fraction be? Well, we already discussed it in the example. It would be 1/8. But then you get a little hungry and you take 2 pieces. Now, what would be the fraction of that? Well, the denominator would still be 8 since there were originally 8 pieces in the entire pizza. So the denominator would stay 8. And how many pieces did you take? You took 2 pieces. So the fraction would be 2/8. Now, how many pieces did we take total from the pizza? We took 3 pieces total from the pizza. And how many slices total were there in the first place? 8. So the fraction of how many pieces we both took is 3/8. Okay, here's a rule. The denominator always stays the same because there are 8 pieces in total. We didn't change the number of pieces the pizza was at. So now we're going to talk about subtraction of fractions with the same denominator. So let's say we have yet another pizza with 8 pieces. I know all of our pizzas have 8 slices, but in our world, that's just how pizza is, I guess. So I give you 4 pieces of the 8 pieces. So what's the fraction of pizza that I gave you? Well, I gave you 4 slices out of 8 total pizza slices. So the fraction would be 4/8. So I gave you 4/8 of the pizza. Now, you get a little hungry with the 4 pieces that you do have, and you eat 1 slice. So what would be the fraction of the entire pizza from the slice that you ate? Well, since you only ate 1 piece, the numerator would be 1. What's the fraction of the pizza that you have left? But the pizza was still originally cut into 8 pieces. So the denominator would still be 8. because we didn't cut the pizza into any more slices. So how many pieces do you have left? You have 3 pieces of pizza left. And how many pieces was the pizza originally cut into? The pizza was originally cut into 8 pieces. So the answer would be that you have 3/8 of a pizza left. I just want to emphasize one more thing that I've already said a lot of times, but is what I call the golden rule of adding and subtracting fractions. So if you have 2 subtractions with the same denominator that you want to add or subtract, you keep the denominator same in the result, like the sum or the difference. This is because in our pizza example, we never changed the original number of slices the pizza came with. We just changed how many we had and how many slices were still in the pizza box. Now, for those of you who don't want to calculate pizza every single time you see 2 fractions with the same denominator, I have an easy trick to quickly calculate adding and subtracting fractions for you. So here we have 4/8 and 3/8. So what should we do to add these two? Well, since we already keep the denominator the same, the denominator is obviously going to be 8, since it's 8 in both of these. But what we're going to do is that we're going to add the 2 fractions numerators together. And what's 4 plus 3? 4 plus 3 is 7. So this entire result of the fraction addition would be 7/8. Same with this problem. The denominator is 7 on both of these, so we keep that the same, but then we subtract both of these numerators. So we're going to get 2 minus 1, which is 1. So the result is going to be 1/7. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope this made fractions a little easier to understand. And see you in the next video.